Hey guys, tonight we're following the most ordinary, most extraordinary footsteps imaginable. Yours? You're not a knight, not a spy, not a daredevil adventurer, unless you count dodging hostile poodles and rogue wheelie bins as danger. You're a postman. And not just any postman. For 42 years, you've walked the exact same neighborhood route, rain or shine, 6 days a week, with only your worn leather satchel and a head full of mental maps to guide you. It's pre-dawn now. The sky is the color of cold milk, and the houses are still sleeping, puffing little clouds of breath into the still, sleepy air. You walk alone, your boots clicking faintly on the cobbled path, your breath fogging up the edges of your glasses. A single kitchen light flickers on somewhere ahead. Someone's boiling tea. Someone's forgotten to bring in the recycling bin. You notice all of it because you always do. This is your town. Not just where you live, but where you move. You know every crooked fence post, every doorbell that doesn't work, every cracked paving stone that tries to trip you up each Tuesday like clockwork. You even know which hedges are secretly full of snoring cats. But hey, before you get comfortable, take a moment to like the video and subscribe, but only if you genuinely enjoy what I do here. I mean, I'm not going to go door to door with a bell. That's your job. Also, drop your city and local time in the comments. Curious where this gentle ramble is reaching tonight. Now, dim the lights, maybe turn on a fan for that soft background hum, and let's ease into tonight's journey together. You set off from the depot just before 5 a.m., the same way you have since you were 23 and still thought coffee from a vending machine was drinkable. The depot smells like old envelopes and stronger opinions, and the break room microwave is older than some of your coworkers. There's no real starting line to your walk, it just begins like mist rolling in. The street lights buzz a little, a moth dances, and you hoist your bag over your shoulder. Inside, newspapers, junk mail, heartfelt letters written in cursive you'll never decipher. You don't need a map. You're the map. The first house on your route always has its porch light on. The woman who lives there, Ms. Hetherington, used to wait for you every morning with a single nod and a hard candy. She passed away last year, but the porch light still comes on as if in ritual. Her grandson set it on a timer. She liked the postman, he said. Said you walked like you were part of the weather. The morning air is thick with fog, classic for this time of year. Your fingers are already a little numb. You tuck your chin into your scarf and keep going. The hedges seem to breathe in the cold. From time to time, a curtain twitches. People are starting to wake up. But they're still in the soft zone, where dreams haven't fully left and coffee hasn't yet arrived. You move among them like a ghost with good posture. You remember your first week on the job, being told the route was easy. Easy if you're a mountain goat with GPS legs. The route weaves, curls, doubles back on itself like a snail with commitment issues. But now, 42 years later, you could do it blindfolded. Probably. Well, maybe not the bit near the iron railings that still smell vaguely like cheese. No one knows why. No one asks. As you reach Fern Street, you spot a pair of slippers left outside again. Size 12, tartan pattern, usually soggy by 7 a.m. You tuck them closer to the door. You've been doing that every day since Mr. Holland had his hip replaced and forgot the concept of weatherproofing. He once tried to offer you a $5 for your slipper rescue services. You declined, of course, but he still hides chocolate bars in his mail pile as bribes. It's not glamorous, but it's yours. These tiny routines, these small kindnesses, they're like beads on a necklace. You string them together, day after day, until the necklace becomes a life. Somewhere in the distance, a milk van grumbles. The fog thickens, but you don't pause. The sound of your boots becomes part of the landscape. Somewhere nearby, an owl is still arguing with the crows about real estate. Every so often, someone new moves in and asks if it's always this quiet in the mornings. You nod. But what you want to say is, the quiet isn't empty. It's full of murmurs and history. It holds layers. Like the fact that Fern Street used to be called Pig Alley back in the 1700s, when farmers would drive their squealing cargo right through the village to the market. Some say that's why the old corner shop still smells faintly of bacon despite being a florist. Historians still argue whether the town's name, Windmere on Walk, comes from its drafty hills or a mispronounced Dutch surname. You like to believe it was named after someone who loved walking. Maybe a tired 17th century baker who hated horses. You reach the corner where the bakery used to be, now replaced by a yoga studio. It smells less yeasty and more eucalyptus now, but the heat coming off the window still makes you crave croissants. Your stomach growls on cue. It's fine. You've got a squashed sandwich waiting in your satchel. Egg salad probably. Or tuna. You like to live on the edge. A squirrel scampers across the path ahead of you, dragging half a bagel. You nod solemnly. Fair play, you whisper. The mailbag digs into your shoulder. You shift it with a grunt and keep moving. Every so often, a mailbox groans dramatically as you lift its lid, as if protesting the weight of its junk mail. You imagine them staging a tiny postal strike. No more flyers. Equal rights for envelopes. They'd fold like origami under pressure, you suspect. You trudge on, breath fogging in front of you, nose just starting to drip. The fog thickens again, wrapping the town in gauze. A dog barks once, then gives up. Somewhere a teapot whistles. Your boots find their rhythm again. Crunch, scuff, crunch. And just like that, the town begins to stir around you, like a loaf rising in the oven. And you? You're the quiet tap on the window that says, yes, another day is here. You're barely 3 streets in when the barking starts. It's muffled at first, then sharper. An urgent yipping from behind a front gate you know all too well. Here comes the dachshund. The same one. Every single day. He's got a tartan coat, a Napoleon complex, and a deep personal vendetta against your left ankle. His name, you've been told, is Captain Pickles, which sounds cute until he's latched onto your sock like it owes him money. Today the gate holds. Mostly. He still launches himself against the bars like a furry battering ram, his little legs a blur, his bark somehow louder than his size should allow. You offer him the usual diplomatic wave and carry on. He'll forget you exist in 4 minutes, then rediscover you with renewed outrage tomorrow. It's a cycle now. A strange, yappy ritual. Your ankle still remembers the one incident. That time years ago when Captain Pickles' gate was left ajar and he managed a full bite and dash maneuver. Just your sock. Didn't even graze skin, but he sprinted off with the toe of it like he'd won the canine lottery. His owner brought it back 2 days later, freshly laundered and wrapped like a trophy. You kept it in your drawer for years. Still don't know why. You keep walking. A curtain flicks open at number 12. Mr. Singh peers out, gives you the thumbs up. No words, just the gesture. Every day. You've never spoken more than 6 sentences to him, but the thumb is now canon. A town tradition. If he ever didn't do it, you'd assume he'd been abducted or, more likely, lost satellite signal on the cricket channel and fallen into despair. Mail slips easily through the slot at number 14. You hear the clatter, then the soft pat of slippers. Inside, a dog snores. Not a Pickles type. This one is ancient, dignified. Smells like cedarwood and hot water bottles. You've seen him once, a basset hound that blinked at you like a tired professor. You liked him immediately. It's a dog-heavy route, come to think of it. You've counted over 30 across your loop. From overexcited terriers to tiny shivering things in pink booties. Dogs, you've learned, fall into 3 categories when it comes to mail. The shouters, Pickles gang. The greeters, tail-wagging optimists. And the philosophers, old dogs who look at you as if pondering your tax bracket. This morning you meet all 3 before 7:30. One, a golden retriever with questionable boundaries, licks your glove through the letterbox. Another, a greyhound in a woolen turtleneck, stares at you for a full minute from behind a hedge, unmoving. Honestly? Slightly unnerving. Still better than cats. Cats judge. Dogs investigate. Though you do remember one exception. A cat named Marmalade who used to walk part of the route with you. No leash. Just joined in, tail high, weaving through your legs like a sentient scarf. The cat was eventually banned from the post office for knocking over a stack of airmail, but still joins you on Thursdays. Only Thursdays. Historians still argue whether that cat was loyal or just weirdly into envelopes. You pass a freshly painted fence. Bright teal. Surprising in this fog. Someone's trying to cheer up the road. Or perhaps they ordered the wrong color and leaned in. You approve. A rogue magpie hops along the top of it, watching you like a security guard with too much time on his wings. At number 22, you pause to fix the slightly crooked mailbox. No one asked you to, but it's been off-kilter for weeks and today is the day. You twist it gently like adjusting a misbehaving picture frame. There. Perfect. The world is slightly more aligned. You continue on, but not before stepping around the puddle that lives at the corner of Wilkins Close. It's not a weather thing, it's always there. Some say it's a broken pipe. Others say it's cursed. You once saw a crow land in it and then immediately rethink its entire life. You suspect the puddle is sentient. Wilkins Close is also where the incident of the sock biter occurred. Another dog. A corgi this time with the stealth of a ninja and the teeth of a paper shredder. It was years ago. You've moved on. Mostly. But your socks haven't. As you round the next bend, you hear it, the soft clink of a spoon in a mug. Mrs. Dalrymple prepping your tea. You smile without meaning to. She always times it just so. And she always leaves the cup on the edge of the windowsill with a note. To the brave warrior of junk mail. Milk, 2 sugars. You've earned it. You haven't the heart to tell her you've switched to black tea years ago. It's the ritual that matters. You sip, blow on it, and stare out at her garden gnome brigade, now up to 47 strong. You count them each time. Today there's a new one, a disco-themed gnome in glitter overalls. Your sleepy brain accepts this without protest. Back on the move. You hear a crunch and pause, just a snail slow dancing across the flagstones. You wait for it to clear your path. You always do. You once heard snails have thousands of teeth. That's probably not relevant here, but you think about it anyway. A breeze picks up. Smells like someone's burning toast. You add that to your mental map of smells: bacon on Birch Lane, lavender on Marigold Street, toast over here near the old Scout Hall. Your nose has done its own route training. You approach the corner where Pickles lives again. He's still there. Still yelling. Maybe he's been yelling the whole time. You salute him. He loses his mind. All is right with the world. You keep moving and the air begins to shift from fog-thick to gold-tinged. The first rays of sun sneak through the rooftops, not yet warming anything, but lighting up the frost like powdered sugar. Your breath turns from fog to smoke, almost theatrical in the cold. You should charge admission. You're halfway down Larkspur Avenue now, a street that sounds like it should be full of whimsical fairies, but instead features a very vocal group of amateur radio operators. You once accidentally triggered a front yard argument over antenna height when you complimented someone's impressive dish. Rookie mistake. You now keep compliments to yourself. You pause at number 8. This is the house with the box of seed packets in the porch. Take one, the sign says in shaky marker. You do as always. Not because you garden, your houseplants are currently on hospice care, but because it seems polite. Today's seed? Kohlrabi. You're not sure what that is, but it sounds like a vegetable that could win in a street fight. Your boots crunch over gravel. You shift your weight to your right foot, the one that's been subtly grumbling since your 30s. The neighborhood is fully waking up now. Kettles whistling, car doors slamming, someone practicing clarinet badly upstairs in number 11. It's a symphony of we're alive, we're trying, and you're the quiet conductor, baton swapped for envelopes. On this block the houses get a bit grander. Bay windows, ornate hedges, one driveway with a fountain that freezes dramatically in winter. It's all very Downton Abbey until you realize most of them are rented out by grad students and shared with 6 roommates and a questionable number of beanbag chairs. Number 15 is your favorite here. Not for its grandeur, but for its consistency. Every week, same stack of foreign magazines, same return address from somewhere in Finland. The lady inside, Mrs. Koivisto, rarely speaks, but her mail tells you everything. Knitting patterns, travel brochures, Finnish crossword puzzles. Once, a recipe for reindeer stew. You suspect she's lived 5 lives and simply decided not to mention them. Across the street, a squirrel wrestles with a crisp packet. The packet wins. You walk on. The next corner brings you to Elderberry Way, a narrow lane overhung with trees that drop pollen bombs every spring. Right now the leaves are skeletal. The trees rattle gently as you pass. This is where you always slow down. Not because it's spooky, but because it's peaceful, like a forgotten paragraph of the town. The fences are older here, sagging like they've just had a long week. A blue tit flutters overhead, lands on a wire, watches you like it's taking notes. You nod solemnly just in case it's a government agent. Halfway down Elderberry is the old book exchange box. Once a phone booth, now a miniature library. You stop, open the door. Inside, paperbacks lean like tired party guests. Today, someone's left a copy of A Short History of Socks. You blink. You're tempted. You slide it into your satchel. Research, you tell yourself. For sock diplomacy. You keep going, past the old brick house with the ivy that's slowly trying to eat the windows. You've seen this house in every season. In winter, it creaks like it's telling secrets. In summer, it buzzes with bees. It's never looked occupied, but someone brings in the milk. You've always wondered. Historians still argue whether the house belonged to the town's first female mayor or a reclusive puppeteer. Honestly, either option feels right. You finally emerge from Elderberry into the town square. It's small, uneven, and charmingly disorganized. There's the bakery, new, the pub, old, and the shop that has sold everything from birdseed to boot polish without changing the sign since 1973. The clock on the church tower is 5 minutes slow, but no one minds. You've learned to adjust your route by it. It's like being in sync with a sleepy grandfather clock. You pass by the statue of someone important. The plaque's lettering is so worn down you once read it as, "Here stands Sir Waffle of Windmere." You're pretty sure that's not right. But you never corrected it in your head. Sir Waffle it remains. There's a pigeon on his head now. Regal. You stop at the bench near the bus stop and shift the mailbag from one shoulder to the other. Your hip cracks. Spectacularly. You wince. A man waiting for the bus gives you a sympathetic nod. You nod back, bonded through the universal language of things that hurt more than they used to. You remember when this square had phone booths? 3 of them. And the kids would stuff themselves inside like clowns in a tiny car. Now it's all just Instagram poses and electric scooters, and you don't mind. It's evolution. Slightly louder, occasionally more dangerous evolution. On your right, the cafe is opening. Steam rises from the espresso machine like it's powering the whole town. You used to stop there at the halfway mark, but now you only go in on Wednesdays. Why Wednesdays? You're not sure. Just happened that way. Like most traditions worth keeping. A delivery van honks gently. The driver waves. You wave back. That's Frank. He's been driving the same route as long as you've been walking yours. You once raced each other to the old water tower. You won. Barely. He still insists it was due to a dodgy clutch. You push forward. Past the postbox that squeaks when you open it. Past the mural of the dancing badger, commissioned by someone with deep feelings about woodland creatures. Past the charity shop with its ever-changing display of sequin jackets and mildly haunted dolls. The square fades behind you as you veer left toward Cobbler's Row. The cobblestones here are designed for twisting ankles and building character. You tread carefully, especially after the incident of the surprise pigeon, which landed on your head with what you could only interpret as a cry for help. You wore a hat for weeks after that. A man in a green jumper waves you down. He wants to know if the council newsletter is in this week's post. You check. It is. He thanks you like you've delivered news of royal descent. You tell him about the kohlrabi seeds. He looks suspicious. You carry on. And so the route continues. Familiar. Evolving. Layered with tiny dramas and quiet joys. You adjust your satchel, feel the sun warm your neck for the first time all morning, and breathe in deep. This is your morning. Your ritual. Your rhythm in a town that forgets and remembers you in equal measure. But you never forget it. You round the corner into Merryweather Lane, and your pace slows without thinking. This is the stretch where time seems to flatten. The sun slants just right here, catching on windows in such a way that the air itself feels golden. Like you've stepped sideways into a memory. Or an old postcard that never got sent. At number 3, Mrs. Fletcher's roses defy seasonal logic. It could be January, and somehow her bushes will still look like they've been personally coached by a Parisian florist. You've asked her secret. She said, I talked to them. But only in French. You believed her. Not because you think roses speak French, but because Mrs. Fletcher absolutely does. Today she's there, bent over in her slippers, trimming a bloom with all the ceremony of a watchmaker. She glances up and waves with her pruning shears. You wave back, mindful not to startle her into snipping something she'd regret. Last year, she accidentally decapitated a peony during your wave exchange and mourned it like a fallen soldier. The letterbox at number 5 sticks. As always, you have to jiggle it slightly to get it to open. You've developed a precise technique involving your elbow, a slight upward tug, and a whispered threat. It works. Mostly. It once earned you a round of applause from the teenager inside, who filmed it and labeled the video Mailman vs. Mailbox. Who will win? You didn't watch it. You know how it ends? At number 9, you glance up at the crooked wind chime. It's made of teaspoons and tiny porcelain teacups, and it tinkles in the breeze like a polite ghost asking for sugar. You like it. Even if, during a thunderstorm, it sounds like an anxious raccoon trapped in a drawer. This is also the stretch where the road dips slightly. Nothing dramatic. But just enough that your knees notice. They've started logging complaints with increasing formality. Today they issue a minor protest. You promise them tea and a biscuit later. Negotiations resume. On the right, number 13 looms. A house so aggressively normal that it wraps all the way around to unsettling. Curtains always drawn. Lawn precisely trimmed. Not a single weed ever. You suspect a Roomba does the gardening. Still, the mail is always addressed to C. Everly, printed in a typeface that screams witness protection. You don't ask questions. But you do place the letters carefully as if they might be booby-trapped. At number 17, a wooden sign reads, Please do not feed the seagulls. Below it, someone has scrawled in Sharpie, Too late. You glance up. Sure enough, a seagull sits on the chimney, looking deeply satisfied and slightly smug. Probably full of toast crusts and the hopes of pastry shop owners. Seagulls became a thing in the mid-90s. One brave scout made it inland and the others followed. Now they loiter like teenage mall rats on rooftops, waiting for someone to drop a pasty or a bit of dignity. You've named them. The one on the left is Clive. He has resting judge face. At the end of Merryweather Lane sits the old railway house. No longer connected to any tracks, it just squats there as if waiting for the past to come pick it up. Ivy has done unspeakable things to its chimney. But inside, lives Arthur. Arthur is 93, nearly blind, and still insists on walking to the newsagent every Thursday for his licorice. He claims the walk keeps him spry. You suspect it's the licorice. You've delivered everything from cassette tapes to fly fishing catalogs to Arthur over the years. He always meets you at the door, wearing the same cardigan, which appears to be held together entirely by good intentions and biscuit crumbs. Today he opens the door before you knock. "Morning, Postie," he says, his voice like gravel in a biscuit tin. You hand him his parcel, a suspiciously heavy envelope, and he nods. "New magnifying glass. The last one tried to kill me." You want to ask for details. You don't. Some stories should be discovered organically. Arthur always offers you a boiled sweet. You always decline. Not because you don't like them, but because last time you accepted one, it glued your molars together so efficiently you couldn't speak for 7 minutes. Still, the ritual persists. It's comforting. He waves you off with a "don't let the gulls steal your hair," which might be a joke or a warning. Possibly both. You continue down the footpath that cuts behind the train yard. It's lined with blackberry brambles and the occasional graffiti squirrel. One says, "Cheese is power" in neon pink. You don't disagree. This path is quieter. More introspective. It's where your thoughts start to unfurl like sleepy cats. You remember the first time you walked it? Fresh uniform, shiny boots, a bag so full it felt like carrying a confused toddler. Back then you kept your head down, tried to memorize the turns. Now it's all muscle memory and passing thoughts. You think about the people you've seen age in slow motion through their windows. The kid who used to throw toy cars at your shins is now learning to drive. The woman who never left the house now runs a local jam company. You once delivered her very first order. Plum and panic, she called it. Historians still argue whether it was a metaphor or just a mislabeled recipe. The post is lighter today. Fewer catalogs. More handwritten envelopes. You like those? They feel deliberate. Like someone took the time to aim their thoughts properly. There's one with shaky cursive addressed to Grandma Hattie. No street number. Just a name in the town. You know where it goes. You always do. As you emerge from the path and back onto the main road, the wind shifts. The smell of fried eggs and wet pavement hits you all at once. It's weirdly comforting. Like a memory from a dream you didn't realize you had. You adjust your satchel, shift your weight, and continue. You step familiar. Each house a verse in the long, strange poem of your route. You're the only one who knows how it rhymes. Your boots land on Merton Crescent with a muted scuff. The pavement here is smoother, newer, likely redone after the mayor's nephew tripped over a crack and made a municipal stink about it. Now it glides under your feet like linoleum in an old department store. You glance up. Number 2 already has the curtains open, which means the twins are awake and chaos is imminent. Sure enough, a paper airplane sails out the window and lands with a dignified flop on the hedge. You pick it up. It reads, "Postman is the best." It's signed in blue crayon with 4 backward letters. Your heart does something indecently sentimental. You tuck it in your satchel next to the kohlrabi seeds and the sock history book. An unlikely elite club. Number 4 used to be a dentist's office. Now it's a Pilates studio with suspiciously loud motivational playlists. "You are strong. You are fierce," yells the instructor from somewhere inside, while the woman at the window waters her succulents with dead eyes. You sympathize. Not everyone wants to be fierce before breakfast. Number 6 is boarded up again. It goes through tenants like some people go through cereal. The last guy was into performance art. You once delivered 30 coconuts addressed to the vessel formerly known as Barry. He didn't leave a forwarding address. Across the street, number 11 greets you with a faint smell of toast and geraniums. It belongs to the Wilkes sisters, identical twins who haven't agreed on anything since 1974. One likes classical music. One likes death metal. They split the house down the middle like Berlin. You can hear a muffled symphony and a double bass riff dueling from within. You hope they never stop. As you turn onto the next stretch, you adjust the strap on your satchel. It's starting to dig into your shoulder again. You mutter a complaint. The satchel ignores you. It's been through worse. That time it got dragged into a duck pond comes to mind. You saved most of the mail. One postcard arrived a week late with duck footprints and a faint whiff of algae. The recipient was delighted. Up ahead is the corner where Mr. Greaves always sits on his porch, even in winter, wrapped in a blanket patterned like an optical illusion. He waves. You wave. He doesn't speak much, but he once handed you a mint and whispered, "Don't trust anyone who hates pudding." Sound advice, honestly. You pause at the small community board nailed to a telephone pole. Someone has put up a flyer for Moonlight Goat Yoga. Beneath it, another person has scribbled, "Why?" And beneath that, someone else added, "Because we can." You smile. Democracy in action. A passing cat rubs against your shin. It's Theodore, the semi-retired Mauser from the bakery. He's orange, missing half an ear, and seems to have declared you a colleague. You lean down and scratch his chin. He purrs like a motorbike trapped under a quilt. You tell him about the seagull uprising. He seems unconcerned. Mail gets lighter around here. Mostly postcards and the occasional charity appeal. You slip a bright yellow envelope into the box at number 18. It squeaks slightly. You've come to recognize them all by sound. Number 20's flap has a bark. Number 22's gives a disgruntled sigh. You once tried to describe this theory at a party. People moved away from you quickly. Historians still argue whether postal routes naturally become anthropomorphic over time or whether you've simply spent too long in close proximity to hedge trimmers and undelivered bills. Honestly, it's a fair debate. At number 24, you're stopped by a kid on a scooter. Helmet too big, backpack even bigger. He looks up at you with a gravity usually reserved for war films. Do you bring birthday cards? You tell him, only the nice ones. And never the ones that play music when opened. He nods, deeply satisfied. Then zooms off with all the grace of a tipping wardrobe. Number 26 is your favorite mystery house. It receives odd-shaped packages at irregular intervals from countries that no longer exist. Once you delivered a crate labeled Reversible Viking Pogo Stick, Deluxe. You never saw it again, but every so often you hear a faint boing from the backyard. You let it be. There's a short incline now. Nothing too dramatic, but it's enough to make you re-evaluate your breakfast choices. You pass a hedge trimmed into the shape of a turtle, a rain barrel painted like a galaxy, and a gnome holding what may or may not be a martini. This street is quietly eccentric. You approve. At the top of the incline, the town opens up slightly. You can see rooftops stretching like origami into the horizon. It's moments like this that catch you off guard, the weird piece of it. A kind of mundane majesty. You're delivering bills and brochures and occasionally a seed catalog, but somehow, it feels like you're part of something bigger. Like a custodian of domestic hopes. A shepherd of mundane miracles. You shake the sentiment off. You have more houses to visit and your left foot is starting to mutiny. Number 30 greets you with wind chimes shaped like spoons. Number 32 has left out a small thermos labeled pastai fuel. You peer inside. 2 sugars, just how you like it. You have no idea who leaves it. It's been happening for 3 winters. No note. Just tea. You drink it with the reverence of a monk discovering indoor heating. And then there's number 34. No mailbox. They always meet you at the door. A different person each time. You think it's a house share of philosophy students or possibly a very polite cult. They always say thank you. You always nod gravely as if you've just delivered secrets. Which, depending on the parcel, might be true. You reach the end of Merton Crescent just as the wind shifts again. It smells like baking bread and distant rain. You pull your collar up, glance at the sky. Clouds are gathering like bored tourists. Time to keep moving. You cross the street and the rhythm kicks back in. Pause. Deliver. Nod. Walk again. It's a dance only you seem to know. But the town in its own way moves with you. As you make your way down Ashford Road, the rhythm changes again. The air seems heavier, filled with the scent of something earthier, wet stone, pine needles, and that odd tinge of wood smoke that always makes it feel like autumn, no matter what season it actually is. The pavement here is cracked in places, as if the road itself is slowly folding into memory. At number 5 you pause. Not to deliver anything this time, but because you've started to notice the house's little quirks. It's an unremarkable bungalow, but it hums with the subtle oddness of a place that's lived in a little too long. The mailbox is bent at a curious angle, slightly askew like someone tried to fix it but gave up halfway through. The garden gate is permanently half open, as if it's waiting for a guest that will never arrive. You've often wondered about the person who lives here. The curtains are always drawn and no one ever really seems to come or go. Yet every so often you'll catch a glimpse of a shadow moving behind the frosted glass of the window. Could be a pet. Or it could be something else. You've never seen a car parked out front, and the only thing that seems to change is the stack of newspapers that grows taller every week, a quiet monument to solitude. The mailbox creaks as you push a letter inside. This one's a simple thank you card, written by one of the neighbors down the street who's just come back from holiday. You know deep down that the card won't be read, not by the person at number 5 at least. It will sit there until the next post arrives, getting a little closer to the edge of the box, until one day it's forgotten altogether. It's okay though. The mailman's job isn't to know who gets what or to understand the stories behind the walls. It's just to carry things from one place to another. That's the rhythm of it. Always moving even when it seems still. You continue down the road, the smell of earth growing stronger. The trees are taller here, tall enough that they bend over the street, forming a kind of archway above you. The houses, with their faded brick facades and sagging gutters, seem a little more spread out. It feels like a secret part of the town, a place that hasn't quite realized how long it's been left behind by the world. Number 8 is where the old man lives. You've never learned his name, though you've tried once or twice to ask. He's always at the window when you arrive, watching from behind the lace curtains with an intensity that borders on unnerving. But it's not an unfriendly gaze, it's the kind of look that says, "I've seen things you haven't," without needing to speak a word. You deliver the post with a polite nod, trying not to linger too long, but something about his stare sticks with you. It's a silent challenge. As if you're part of the puzzle of this street, and he's the one who holds the missing piece. On the opposite side of the road, the old church stands, squat and sturdy against the horizon. You've passed it 1,000 times, yet you can never seem to shake the feeling that it's quietly watching you as you walk by, as though it knows all the secrets of this street, but isn't saying a word. The stone is weathered, the stained glass windows faded but still intact. The church has stood here longer than anything else in the neighborhood, long before the houses or the trees or the streets were laid down. In a way, it feels like the anchor of this entire place. It's odd how some buildings make you feel like you're in their debt just for being close to them. They have a history that you can't touch, but you can sense, heavy in the air like an unspoken promise. You can almost hear the whispered prayers that have echoed within these walls for centuries. And maybe that's why you always pause, even if just for a moment, whenever you walk by. Historians still argue whether the church's role was ever to be a community hub, or whether it was always meant to be a silent sentinel, watching over the small, odd lives that passed through the town. You wonder, though, if it's better left unexplored. Some things are simply meant to remain mysteries. You cross the road and continue past the long wooden fence that marks the boundary of the park. The grass inside looks like it's been freshly mowed, the green a sharp contrast against the darker, more somber hues of the town. There's something peaceful about it, like you've entered a different world altogether. It's not quite the tranquil park of your childhood, but it's close enough to evoke a fleeting sense of nostalgia. The park is empty, save for a couple of birds picking through the grass, occasionally interrupted by a lone dog walker. You wave to her, though she's too far off to notice. You always wave because it feels like the right thing to do. A quiet acknowledgement of the passing of time, even in this place that seems frozen like an old photograph. At the end of the street, the houses become fewer and farther apart. You can see the edge of the woods just ahead, where the pavement finally gives way to dirt tracks. You've never been into those woods, but you've heard stories, half-tales passed down over the years about strange noises and figures seen lurking between the trees. No one you know has ever ventured too far into those woods. Maybe they're just part of the mythology of this place. Or maybe there's something out there waiting to be discovered. You don't often think about it. It's just part of the fabric of this town like everything else. Unseen but ever present. You reach the end of Ashford Road and pause for a moment, watching the trees sway in the wind. It's the quiet part of the route, the last leg before the long walk back to the depot. You take a deep breath, feeling the cool air fill your lungs. The wind seems to shift direction as if it's signaling that it's time to turn around. You adjust your satchel, shake out your shoulders and set off once more, already drifting back into the rhythm of the walk, into the rhythm of the day. You make your way up the long stretch of Weatherby Lane, feeling the familiar, comforting weight of your satchel swaying against your side with each step. The lane is a little quieter now as you leave the outskirts of town behind. The houses here are set farther apart, their gardens sprawling into untamed grass, hedgerows that seem to grow in secret, and wooden fences that have seen better days. It's a transition, almost as though you're walking away from civilization itself and toward something more untidy, more human, in its reluctance to be tamed. Number 42 has always intrigued you. It's a stone house, low and sprawling, with ivy creeping up the walls like a green wave about to swallow it whole. The mailbox here is nothing more than a rusted tin can on a post, too small for anything of substance. But every time you stop to deliver the post, the same feeling washes over you, like you're stepping into someone else's story. You've never seen the residence of number 42. The blinds are always closed and the door never seems to open. Every so often you'll see a shadow move behind the window, but that's the extent of it. There's no dog barking, no kids playing in the yard, no visitors dropping by for tea. It's the silence that makes it feel almost haunted. You've always wondered if it's some kind of personal sanctuary, where the world outside doesn't quite reach. But whatever it is, it doesn't seem to have anything to do with you. So you simply drop the mail in the can, give the house one last look and move on. But there's something undeniably soothing about the mystery of it. The quiet, the not knowing, the way it hangs in the air like an unfinished sentence. Maybe it's the kind of house that requires you to let it remain a puzzle. And that's okay. Sometimes it's the things you don't understand that add a little extra flavor to your day. The next stop is number 44, where the small garden is always impeccably manicured, as if it's the homeowner's personal statement against the untamed wildness of the world. The front steps are worn, polished by decades of careful use, and the door knocker is shaped like a lion's head. Every time you reach the house, you're reminded of the same thought. It's a place that exudes control. Every blade of grass is in its place, every flower positioned just so. Mrs. Green lives here. Well, Mrs. Green is the name you've always assumed, based on the address you're delivering to. She's always been a little aloof, never too keen to engage in much conversation. But once, years ago, she asked you about the weather. And that was as far as it ever went. It was one of those exchanges that felt entirely normal in the moment, but when you think back, it somehow feels oddly important, like an unspoken acknowledgement between two people whose worlds don't overlap but whose paths happen to cross on a regular basis. You ring the doorbell. It dings softly. A moment later, the door opens just a crack. Mrs. Green's face appears behind the narrow gap, her eyes sharp as ever, her hair perfectly styled, and a faint smile playing at the corner of her lips. "Morning, Postman," she says with a hint of pleasant surprise. You hand over the bundle of letters. She takes them with a brief nod, as if this ritual is the only conversation you'll ever need. Then, just as quickly as she appeared, the door closes, and you're left standing on the doorstep, the faint scent of lavender still lingering in the air. You don't mind. There's something restful in these small, unspoken moments. The kind where the world doesn't need to be explained, and you don't need to ask questions. There's peace in simply knowing you're part of a long-running, ongoing exchange. At the end of the lane, you spot the old post office in the distance. It's a squat brick building, still standing despite the passage of time and the advent of the new depot, which has taken over most of the town's official deliveries. The post office has its own charm, though, with its red-painted doors and windowsill gardens filled with seasonal flowers. It stands as a reminder of how things once were. You've been inside 100 times to drop off collected mail or pick up special packages. It's a place where the old routine persists, even when the rest of the world changes around it. You can't help but smile as you approach, noting how the flower pots along the windowsill have been freshly watered, the stems bending toward the sunlight. There's something comforting about seeing something maintained so carefully, like an ongoing tribute to a simpler time. You think of the stories you've heard about the post office from the older residents of the town, the tales of how it used to be the heart of the community, where everyone would gather to gossip and share news, and how, even now, there's a sort of magic that lingers in the air. You stop for a moment to take it all in. The building's quiet presence, the soft rustle of the leaves in the trees, the hum of the distant world outside the town. There's a stillness in this corner of the world that you know will never change. It's comforting in a way. So you stand there, letting the moment settle around you before you turn to head back down the lane toward the next set of houses. There's always more to do, more letters to deliver, more corners to round. But for now, just this fleeting moment of calm is enough. You'll keep walking. You'll keep delivering. You'll keep being part of the rhythm of this place. And that's enough. For today at least. Historians still argue whether the post office was ever meant to be the town's beating heart, or if it simply evolved into that role over time. Either way, it has become an integral part of the town's story, a place where the rhythms of the past and present coalesce in unexpected ways. The air grows a little cooler as you head toward the next stretch of your route, the last leg of the walk before you return to the depot for the day. The houses are still spread out, but now the rhythm changes. The pavement here is worn with age, its surface scarred by countless steps and the wear of weather, yet it's strangely comforting in its imperfection. The buildings along the stretch of the route are a little older, their exteriors fading in the way things do when they've stood for decades, but there's a quiet grace in that age. Like people who have lived their whole lives without needing to announce it. Number 55 stands ahead of you, a house with peeling white paint, but its windows are wide and open, letting in the breeze. You've often wondered about the people who live here. The house has a welcoming feel, the kind that draws you in without needing to say much. Its owners, though, have always remained an enigma. You've been delivering mail here for years, but there's never been a moment where you've spoken to anyone. You've only ever seen the curtains flutter when the wind blows through, and the occasional flash of light from the window as if someone's inside, though you never see anyone. As you step up to the stoop, you notice the garden, wild and overgrown, full of roses and vines that curl around the iron gate like nature's own embrace. You wonder just for a moment if the garden is meant to be kept this way on purpose. Perhaps the owners like it untamed, a little out of control, reflecting the nature of the house itself. Maybe they never wanted it to be perfect. After all, who really does? You place the letters in the mailbox and close it with a soft thud. As you do, you can't shake the feeling that the house has seen more than it's willing to share. Maybe it's just the quiet, the stillness, that makes it seem as though it's holding on to secrets. Or maybe it's the way the ivy climbs the walls, as if trying to pull the house back into the earth, to return it to a place before it became a thing of human construction. You carry on, taking a moment to adjust the strap of your bag and turn onto the next street, Crosby Avenue. The houses here are much the same as the last stretch, but there's something a little more vibrant about them. A few houses have freshly painted doors, bright shades of green or blue that stand out against the muted brickwork. There's life here, the kind that comes with the occasional burst of color and the small signs of activity. A child's bicycle propped up by the front door, a rake leaning against the wall of one garden, the hum of someone's lawnmower in the distance. Number 17 is on your right. You've never really noticed it before, but today it catches your eye. There's a faint glow from the inside, and for a split second, you can see a shape moving across the window, just a shadow but enough to make you pause. You can't help but wonder who's inside, what they're doing, whether they know that in this moment, someone like you is thinking about them, even if just briefly. It's one of those small, passing thoughts that seem trivial but mean something. You can't explain it, but the image of the shadow lingers as you walk past. Historians still argue whether places like these, houses that seem to disappear into the landscape, are the real heart of a town, or if it's the grand, more conspicuous buildings that hold that honor. Perhaps it's somewhere in between, in these quiet, overlooked spaces where the true pulse of life resides. At the end of Crosby Avenue, you pass by the local corner shop. The sign is old, but the lights are on, casting a warm glow that spills out onto the street, spilling light on the quiet night. You've been stopping here for years, even if it's just to grab a quick coffee or a small snack. The shop owner, an elderly man with a thick white mustache, always greets you with a nod, as if you've shared 100 quiet conversations that need no words. You wave, but you don't stop. There's a rhythm to this walk that doesn't allow for lingering in places that aren't on your list. Still, there's a part of you that enjoys these brief moments of connection, the silent acknowledgement of your presence, the way people can exist side by side without needing to fill the air with chatter. It's comforting in its own way. As you turn the corner and head toward the depot, you notice how the landscape seems to soften. The houses are fewer now and the road ahead is quieter. The evening is drawing in, and the sky is turning a shade of pink that fades quickly into purple. You've reached the final stretch of your walk, and with each step you feel the weight of the day lifting. There's something undeniably soothing about this part of the journey, the return leg. The sense that you've done what you came to do, that the last few deliveries will be tucked into the mail slots, and then you'll be done. The road curves slightly, and as you take the familiar turn toward the depot, the world seems to narrow, focused only on the steps beneath your feet, the soft hum of the wind, and the faint scent of earth and greenery carried on the breeze. In the distance you see the depot itself, its lights shining in the gathering dusk. The end of the route. The place where the bags are emptied, the streets are quieted, and you're left with the satisfaction of knowing you've walked it all. And tomorrow the walk will begin again. The same streets, the same faces, the same rhythm. But tomorrow might bring something new, someone new. Or perhaps not. It doesn't really matter, does it? The world doesn't need to change for it to be meaningful. It's enough to walk, to deliver, and to simply exist in this small, quiet corner of the world. You reach the depot, stop for a moment to adjust your satchel, and let out a long, slow breath. It's done. You've walked the route. Tomorrow you'll do it all over again. But for now it's time to rest. The air is cooler now, as the last rays of daylight disappear behind the horizon, and the sky slowly darkens into shades of indigo and charcoal. You lock the door to the depot behind you, the familiar metallic click echoing in the quiet of the evening. You take a moment to stand outside, looking up at the first few stars beginning to twinkle overhead. It's a simple, calming sight, a reminder that the world still turns in its quiet way, even after the day's work is done. As you walk back to your small flat, the streets feel a little emptier, a little more serene. The noise of the day has settled, leaving behind only the hum of distant traffic and the occasional rustle of leaves in the breeze. The neighborhood is still alive with the soft glow of porch lights, but it's different now, quieter. You feel a little disconnected from the hustle of it all, as though you've stepped outside the usual rhythm and are floating just a little above it. You pass by the park on your way home. It's not a place you often visit, but tonight something draws you toward it. The swings sway gently in the breeze, the chains creaking softly, and the empty benches invite quiet contemplation. It's not a large park, but it has a charm of its own with its crooked paths and scattered trees. You pause for a moment, taking in the stillness, the absence of people. It's rare to see it like this. Usually there are children running around, their laughter filling the air, or couples strolling hand in hand under the streetlights. But tonight, it's just you and the shadows, and it feels like the park belongs to you, if only for this fleeting moment. There's something oddly peaceful about being alone in a space that's usually full of life. It's as if the world is holding its breath, waiting for something, but for now, it's content to simply exist in the calm. As you sit on one of the benches, you think about the day. The people you've seen, the small moments that passed without much notice but have stayed with you. There was Mr. Jensen at number 12, always with his morning paper, never saying much but always smiling when you handed him his letters. And Mrs. Dorsey at number 18, who always offers you a cup of tea when you stop by, even if it's just for a moment. You think about these little rituals, how they've become as much a part of the walk as the path itself. Historians still argue whether these moments of connection, however brief or insignificant they may seem, are what keeps small communities together, or if it's something else entirely. Some say it's the shared history, the years of memories and experiences, that create the fabric of a neighborhood. Others say it's the little things, like the wave of a hand or the quiet acknowledgement of another person's presence, that stitch it all together. You stand up from the bench and start walking again, your footsteps steady and calm, the familiar path underfoot guiding you back home. It's just a short distance now, but somehow each step feels heavier, as though the weight of the day is finally catching up with you. Your body aches from the long walk, the small twinges of fatigue starting to settle in your muscles. But it's a good kind of tiredness, the kind that comes with completing something meaningful, even if you can't quite articulate what it was. You reach your front door and slip the key into the lock. The familiar click of the door opening brings a sense of relief. You step inside, the warmth of your flat greeting you, and you remove your shoes, feeling the soft carpet beneath your feet. It's a small space, but it's yours, and for tonight, it's all you need. The routine of your evening takes over. You make a simple meal, nothing fancy, just something to fill the quiet. Maybe it's a bowl of soup, maybe a sandwich, whatever feels comforting in the moment. The sounds of the evening are softer now, the world outside muted by the walls of your home. Historians still argue whether it's the grand gestures of life, the big events, the changes, that shape us, or if it's the quiet moments in between. The ones that slip by unnoticed, the ones that seem insignificant but build up over time. Perhaps it's a little of both, a mix of the extraordinary and the mundane that forms the story of a person's life. After dinner, you settle into your favorite chair, the one by the window that looks out over the street. The lights from the houses across the way flicker faintly, casting long shadows against the pavement. You're tired now, in that good quiet way that comes after a day of steady work, of walking and delivering, of existing in the background of other people's stories. The night grows darker, and soon the streetlights cast their soft glow on the road outside, illuminating the familiar stretch of pavement. You let your mind drift, the thoughts floating by like the soft rustle of leaves in the wind. The steady rhythm of your breathing matches the rhythm of the world outside. It's all a little too quiet, a little too peaceful, but that's exactly what you need right now. You close your eyes, feeling the weight of sleep begin to press down on you. Tomorrow you'll walk again. Tomorrow you'll meet the same faces, see the same houses, and repeat the same quiet rituals. But for now it's enough to rest. It's enough to just be. The sun rises quietly the next morning, casting a pale glow through the blinds of your small bedroom. The gentle shift from dark to light is enough to coax you awake, though you resist the pull of consciousness for just a few moments longer. You can hear the faint sounds of the neighborhood stirring outside, the distant hum of traffic, the occasional dog barking, the rustle of trees in the soft morning breeze. It's all part of the rhythm now, just like the steps you'll take in a few minutes, the familiar swing of the bag over your shoulder, and the certainty that today will follow the same pattern as yesterday. You stretch out, feeling the familiar ache in your limbs from the previous day's walk. It's not painful, just a reminder that your body is accustomed to the motion, that it has adapted to this daily journey. You slip out of bed, taking a moment to appreciate the stillness of the morning. In the quiet of these early hours, it's easy to forget about the rest of the world, The noise, the rush, the chaos that waits out there. Here in this small room, it's just you and the softness of the dawn. It's funny how routines can feel both comforting and suffocating at the same time. The repetition of the walk, the predictable exchange with the same faces, the steady rhythm of delivering letters, it's all something you know by heart. You could probably walk the route blindfolded at this point, navigating the streets by feel alone. And yet, there's a sense of peace in that predictability. A sense of security in knowing exactly what comes next, in understanding your place within the rhythm of the day. You pull on your uniform, the fabric soft from years of wear, and tie your shoes, taking care to lace them just so. There's a ritual to it, almost like preparing for a small performance, even though the audience will be made up of nothing but houses and empty streets. There's a simplicity in it that feels grounding, like stepping into the same role you've played for years, only with no need for applause or recognition. Historians still argue whether people are creatures of habit by nature, or if society simply trains them into predictable patterns over time. Some say that habits form because of a deep-seated need for control, a way to manage the overwhelming chaos of life. Others suggest it's the comfort of the familiar, the security that comes with repetition, that keeps people stuck in their routines. Whatever the reason, it's clear that the walk, like the sunrise, has become a part of who you are. You step outside, the cool morning air wrapping around you like a gentle hug. The streets are quieter at this hour, the world still half asleep, but there's an energy in the silence. It's the calm before the storm of the day's bustle, the peaceful interlude before everything gets noisy and chaotic. You savor it for a moment, standing on the front steps of your building, feeling the quiet of the world. Then, with a deep breath, you start walking. The first few streets are just as you remember them, familiar and unchanging. The houses line the road like old friends, each one with its own quirks and peculiarities. The garden at number 14 is blooming now, the roses full and rich with color, and you pause for just a second to take it all in. The pinks and purples contrast against the gray of the morning, a reminder that life continues in small bursts of color even in the midst of routine. It's always these small details that catch your attention, the things that might seem insignificant to anyone else, but to you they're the markers of the day. You continue along, your bag growing heavier with each delivery. The usual faces greet you, the same waves, the same smiles, the same half-spoken conversations about the weather or the state of the world. There's something oddly comforting about this. These people, the ones you pass by every day, are like the background music to your life. You don't need to know their stories, their names even. All you need is the silent acknowledgement that you exist in the same space at the same time, and that's enough. At the corner of the street, you spot Mrs. Higgins standing at her gate, watching the world go by. You've noticed her here before, standing in the same spot at the same time each day, just watching. She never says much, just a nod, maybe a wave, but there's something in her gaze that makes you feel as though she sees more than most. It's as though she's a part of this place, as though her presence, however quiet, makes the whole neighborhood feel more alive. You make the final delivery for this part of the route, number 45, the little house with the garden full of sunflowers, and then take a moment to catch your breath. You pause and look back, watching the way the street curves, the way the houses stand side by side, some with their lights on, others with their curtains drawn. The whole neighborhood feels like a patchwork quilt, each house, each yard, each face adding to the pattern in its own way. Historians still argue whether the feeling of belonging comes from the people we know, or if it's the places that shape us, the buildings, the streets, the corners we turn every day. Maybe it's both. Maybe it's the small, everyday connections, the waves and the nods, that bind us to the places we live. With a stretch and a yawn, you push on to the next part of the walk. The sun is fully risen now, and the day's rhythm begins to take over. But in the back of your mind, you hold on to the calm of the morning, the quiet before the world begins to stir, knowing that soon, you'll be back at your starting point, ready to do it all over again. The day stretches out in front of you, a long series of familiar steps and routes. The sun is higher now, casting a warm glow over everything, and the soft hum of life begins to rise in the background. People are up, their morning routines running like clockwork, garbage trucks rumbling down the streets, car engines starting, distant voices calling out in the early morning haze. It's all the same, and yet somehow it's different each day. As you walk, you find yourself paying attention to the little things, the way the leaves shimmer in the light, the sound of a cat purring as it sits on a windowsill, the smell of freshly baked bread wafting from a bakery you pass every morning. It's all ordinary, but in this moment, it feels extraordinary. You start to wonder how many people notice these small details, how many of them, like you, take the time to see them for what they are. There's a street corner ahead, one that marks the halfway point of your route. You've passed this corner countless times and yet it feels different today. There's a group of children standing by the lamppost, chatting excitedly as they wait for the bus. They're laughing, arguing over something trivial, maybe the best flavor of ice cream or the latest cartoon, but the sound of their voices is enough to make the world feel a little brighter. The corner, once just another spot on your route, now feels like a small pocket of joy in the midst of the day. You've seen them here before, these children, but they've never really noticed you. You've always been just a blur to them, a fleeting figure on the edge of their world. But today something about them stands out. Maybe it's the way they seem to capture the energy of the morning, or the way they hold on to the fleeting moments of childhood with such passion. Their world is still full of possibilities, full of potential. Historians still argue whether childhood is really the best time of life, or if it's just a time of blissful ignorance. Some say that childhood innocence is something to be cherished, while others believe that it's a fleeting phase, easily overshadowed by the weight of adulthood. But as you watch them, the carefree laughter hanging in the air, it's hard not to believe that their world is one worth holding on to, even if just for a little while. You continue on, the rhythm of your walk steady and comforting. The houses blur together in their own way, but each one holds a little story, a little detail that makes it unique. It's strange how the streets can feel both expansive and intimate at the same time. You're walking through a whole world and yet, it's also a world that belongs to you. It's not just the people you pass, the deliveries you make, the faces you see for a moment before you turn the corner. It's the sense of connection that comes with knowing these places, these people, these little fragments of a life lived over time. As you reach the end of this part of the route, you stop for a moment to stretch. The sun is higher now, the heat of the day starting to settle in. The world is buzzing, the energy of the morning slowly giving way to the hum of midday. You're almost at the final stretch, the last few houses to visit before you head back to the depot, and the end of another walk. But there's no rush. You've walked this route so many times that time feels like it stretches and contracts depending on your mood. It's almost as if the street itself knows you, knows how to move at your pace. The last delivery is always the easiest, a quiet place at the end of the route where you don't have to interact with anyone. You can slip the mail through the door and continue on your way without so much as a word. But even that last stop is a ritual of sorts, the final punctuation on the day's journey. You can't help but feel a sense of satisfaction as you finish it, as if you've completed a task that's both ordinary and extraordinary at the same time. Historians still argue whether our lives are shaped by the big moments or the small ones. Some say it's the grand events that define us, the births, the deaths, the milestones. Others believe it's the little moments, the ones that slip by unnoticed, that make up the essence of a life. Maybe it's both. Maybe, in the end, it's the quiet, everyday moments that make all the difference, the ones that we take for granted but that give life its shape. You turn around to head back to the depot, the walk home now stretching out before you. The sun is still high in the sky and the world is buzzing with energy, but you feel a little more detached from it all now. It's not a bad feeling, just a quiet one. The work of the day is done, the routine is almost over, and all that's left is the walk back to where it all began. The return to the starting point, the completion of the cycle. It's a good feeling, really, the satisfaction of knowing that you've done your job, that you've walked the same route for another day, and that tomorrow will bring it all back again. The sense of completion, the knowledge that you are part of something bigger, even if it's just a small part, is enough to make you feel at peace with the day. And as you walk, you can't help but smile, thinking of all the things you'll do tomorrow, all the people you'll see, and all the little details you'll notice along the way. You reach the depot, and for a moment, everything feels like it has slowed down to match the steady pace of your own thoughts. The air, still warm from the midday sun, carries with it the faint smell of the streets, dust, grass, the lingering scent of coffee from a nearby cafe. You take a deep breath, feeling the weight of the walk settling into your legs, but there's a sense of peace in it. You've completed your route for the day, and the world feels a little quieter now, as though everything has just exhaled, just for a moment. As you step inside the depot, the sounds of the day seem to evaporate into the background, the hum of the fluorescent lights overhead, the faint clatter of someone typing on a keyboard in the corner. It's a place you've come to know well, a place where the quiet becomes familiar, where the rhythm of your movements matches the routine of the job. You slip your bag off your shoulder and place it gently by your desk, the weight of it finally easing away. It's strange how something so simple can feel like such a relief. There's no real rush to the end of the day, no urgent tasks waiting for you. The letters and packages are sorted, the deliveries are made, and now there's nothing left but the quiet process of closing up shop, of wrapping up the day in the same way you always do. The mundane tasks, the ones that feel repetitive and ordinary, are the ones that ground you. It's like a ritual, a way of transitioning from the busy world outside back into the calm of your own space. You take a moment to look out the window, the streets now bathed in the golden glow of the setting sun. The neighborhood is winding down, the houses becoming shadows against the fading light. It's a beautiful sight, the way the evening feels like it's settling in, like the world is winding itself down after a long day. You know that tomorrow will bring more of the same, another walk, another set of deliveries, another round of quiet moments, but there's something comforting in that certainty, something reassuring in the rhythm of it all. Historians still argue whether people crave change or comfort. Some believe that human nature is defined by a desire for novelty, that we're constantly seeking new experiences, new sensations, new things to look at and do. Others say that we find peace in routine, in the predictable patterns that shape our days, and that it's in the familiar, the known, that we find comfort. As you stand there looking out at the street, you realize that maybe it's both. Maybe we need the security of routine to feel grounded, but we also need the occasional surprise to keep things interesting. You turn back to your desk, your eyes drifting over the small items scattered there. A pen, a notepad, a cup of tea that's gone cold. It's a small space, but it's yours. It's where you take a breath before stepping back into the world tomorrow. You've learned to find comfort in these moments, the ones where everything is quiet and still, when there's nothing to rush, nothing to worry about. In a world that moves faster and faster, these pauses feel like a lifeline, the gentle reminder that it's okay to slow down. The phone rings, its sharp tone a jarring interruption to the calm, and for a moment you're not sure whether you should answer it. But then, with a sigh, you pick it up, knowing that it's just one more small task to complete before the day is truly over. The conversation is brief, a few minutes spent answering a question from a colleague, the kind of exchange that happens every day without fail. You hang up, the phone slipping back into its cradle, and you sit in the silence once more. It's always the small, almost invisible moments that define your days, the ones that go unnoticed but form the thread that ties everything together. As the last few minutes of your shift tick by, you feel yourself winding down, the energy of the day slipping away, leaving only the soft hum of your thoughts. The sun is lower now, casting long shadows across the room. You gather your things, your bag and your coat, and head out the door. The walk home awaits you, but this time there's no rush. You'll take your time, savoring the quiet of the evening, the way the world feels just a little bit more peaceful when you're walking at your own pace. Historians still argue whether our memories are shaped more by moments of excitement or by the quieter, simpler times. Some say that the thrill of adventure, of new experiences, is what sticks with us, while others believe that it's the quiet routines, the ones that may seem boring to an outsider, that leave the deepest impressions. You think about this as you step into the street, the air cool against your skin, the sounds of the neighborhood coming to life once again. Tomorrow you'll wake up and do it all again. Another walk, another set of deliveries, another quiet connection with the world around you. And that's okay. That's more than okay. It's exactly what you need. The simplicity of it, the way everything falls into place, is enough. It always has been. The walk home feels different now. The day is fully over, and the world is shedding its daylight skin, slipping into the twilight quiet of the evening. The air is cooler, with just a hint of crispness, a whisper of what's to come in the colder months. There's a comfort in the transition from day to night, a moment where everything feels suspended, caught between what was and what will be. You let the rhythm of your footsteps guide you, a slow, steady beat that matches the cadence of your thoughts. As you pass by familiar houses, you notice things that you hadn't seen earlier. The lights inside are soft now, casting shadows across the windowsills. There's a calmness to everything, a stillness that feels almost sacred. The neighborhood, which was once full of activity and noise, is now settling in for the night. You wonder as you walk what it is that keeps people going, the daily grind, the routine, the quiet rhythm of their lives. You've seen it for so many years now, these same houses, these same faces. And yet, every day there's something new to notice, something that makes it feel like a different world altogether. There's something about the way the streetlights flicker to life as dusk falls that feels like the beginning of a new chapter, like the world is drawing a deep breath and preparing to exhale. The familiar glow of each lamp brings with it a sense of reassurance, a reminder that the night is here, that the routine of the day is winding down, and that tomorrow will come in its own time. You let your gaze wander from streetlight to streetlight, the soft pools of light like small pockets of peace in an otherwise darkening world. Historians still argue whether we find meaning in the day or in the night. Some believe that our actions during the daylight hours define us, that it's in our work, our productivity, that we leave our mark. Others say that the night holds more significance, a time for reflection, for rest, for the quiet moments that shape who we are when no one is watching. You can't help but wonder which is true. Maybe, like everything else, it's a balance. The quiet of the night, the quiet of the early morning, intertwined with the busyness of the day. The walk takes longer than usual tonight, and you don't mind. The evening air feels good against your skin, and there's no rush to get home. The streets are quieter now, save for the occasional car that passes by, its headlights cutting through the night like small, fleeting moments of brightness. You pause at the corner near the park, your gaze lingering on the shadowy outline of the trees. The park is empty now, the swings and benches abandoned for the night, but you know that tomorrow it will be full of life again. Children laughing, dogs barking, people out for evening strolls. But for now, it's a place of peace, a quiet pocket in the heart of the neighborhood. You take a deep breath, savoring the stillness, and then continue on your way. You think about the people you've seen today, the ones who've waved as you walked past, the ones who've nodded, acknowledged you in their own way. They're all part of the pattern now, part of the rhythm of your life, and yet you don't know them, not really. You're just a passing figure in their world as they are in yours. And yet, there's a strange comfort in that, a quiet connection that doesn't need words, doesn't need explanation. It's just there, like the flickering lights, like the hum of the streets. As you reach your home, you feel the familiar weight of the day lift off your shoulders. The door opens with a soft creak, and you step inside, the warmth of your home greeting you like an old friend. It's a small thing, this space, but it's yours. It's where you unwind, where you rest, where the day's routine ends and you can finally take a breath. You slip off your shoes, hang up your coat, and settle into the quiet. There's something magical about the end of the day, about the moment when everything slows down, when you're no longer a part of the world outside, but instead you're a part of this small, private moment. Historians still argue whether it's the places we live that shape us, or the lives we lead within them. Some say it's the environments we inhabit, the rooms we sleep in, the streets we walk, that define us. Others believe it's the choices we make, the actions we take, that leave their mark. As you sit in your living room, the soft light from a lamp casting long shadows across the floor, you realize that maybe it's both. Maybe it's the spaces we fill and the lives we lead within them that come together to make us who we are. You settle into your chair, pulling a blanket over your legs. The evening has fully taken hold now, and the world outside is wrapped in darkness. The only sound in the house is the soft ticking of the clock on the wall, a reminder that time moves forward, even when it feels like the world has paused. You close your eyes for a moment, letting the silence wash over you. There's no need to think, no need to do anything. Just breathe, just be. Tomorrow the routine will begin again. Another walk, another set of deliveries, another round of familiar faces and quiet connections. But for now, in this moment, it's enough to simply exist in the stillness. To let the day go, to let the routine fade away, and to rest in the comfort of knowing that tomorrow will bring more of the same. A small, predictable rhythm that carries you through the days. And that's okay. In fact, that's more than okay. It's perfect. The first rays of the new day begin to creep in through the blinds, a soft, golden light that makes everything feel fresh, even though it's the same world, the same morning. You stretch, feeling the warmth of your bed and the promise of a new day settling into your bones. For a moment, you just lie there, breathing in the peace of the morning, letting the quiet hum of the world outside seep in. It's a small luxury, this moment before the rush of the day begins, the stillness before the predictable rhythm of your routine picks up again. You reach over to silence the alarm clock, a gentle nudge to start the day. It's always the same. The waking moments are never as tranquil as the quiet before the sun fully rises. The world outside is still too dark, the air too cool, the neighborhood still wrapped in sleep. You pause, savoring the calm, feeling as if you're a part of the slow unfolding of the day, not yet a player in its busy movements. Historians still argue whether mornings are the best time for reflection or whether they're simply the start of the day's tasks. Some say the stillness of the early hours offers the perfect clarity, a time when thoughts are sharp, the world is quieter, and we are closer to our inner selves. Others believe that mornings are simply a prelude to the busyness of life, a transition into the hustle. As you lay there, though, you're not sure you'd want to be anywhere else. The morning feels like the perfect in-between space, a place where time seems to stretch and the world feels soft and unformed. The shower is the next part of the ritual, the warm water cascading over your skin, a simple thing but comforting in its repetition. You let the water wash away the sleep, let it carry away any remnants of the night. It's almost like starting fresh, like each morning is a chance to reset, even though everything else around you stays the same. The sound of the water, the steam rising, the warmth, it's all part of the routine, and somehow that's exactly what you need. You've walked the same route for years now, and yet every day, it feels like a new beginning. A new chance to step into the rhythm of life, to begin again. You get dressed in the same clothes, pull on your boots, check the weather through the window. It's cloudy today, a bit cooler than yesterday, but the wind is still mild. The air has a fresh, earthy smell to it, a reminder that the seasons are changing, ever so slowly. The small details you notice, like the way the morning fog lingers on the grass or the sound of birds beginning their daily song, are the ones that remind you that even in the midst of routine, life is happening. The world is moving, shifting, even as you stand in your kitchen making your first cup of coffee. You sit at the table, sipping the warm liquid, feeling the comfort of it fill you. The clock ticks softly in the background, marking the passing seconds, but you don't rush. You don't need to. There's something about mornings like this, where time doesn't feel like an enemy, where it feels like it's moving at your pace, a pace you've come to know well. It's the same pace you'll walk later, down the familiar streets, past the same houses, through the same neighborhoods. It's strange how the world seems to move differently depending on your perspective. For some, mornings are a frantic race against time, a flurry of activity to get the day started. But for you, mornings are a slow dance, a gentle unfolding of the day, a moment to breathe and collect yourself before the routine begins again. You take your time, finish your coffee, and gather your things. The walk will wait. The neighborhood will wait. Historians still argue whether routine is the greatest comfort or the greatest cage. Some say that it's the repetition of daily tasks that keeps us grounded, provides structure and meaning. Others believe that it's the comfort of familiarity that makes it a trap, preventing us from breaking free and seeking out new experiences. As you stand there looking out the window at the world still settling into the morning, you're not sure which side you land on. Maybe it's a bit of both. Maybe it's the comfort of routine that makes the rest of life feel manageable, but it's also the moments of change, the surprises that make it worth living. You gather your things and head toward the door, feeling the weight of the world waiting just outside. The familiar rhythm of your walk begins again, the quiet connection you have with the neighborhood and the people within it. It's not an easy job, not by any means, but it's one that has settled into your bones, one that has become a part of you. The day stretches out ahead of you, the same route, the same faces, but you know it will be different today. It always is. You step out into the world, the cool morning air greeting you like an old friend. The day is just beginning, and as you take that first step down the familiar path, you can't help but smile. It's not much, this life you've built with your daily walk, but it's enough. It always has been. The day unfolds with that familiar rhythm, the creak of the front door as you step back out into the cool morning, the sound of your boots tapping against the pavement, steady and sure. There's something peaceful about it, the way the neighborhood seems to shift from slumber to activity all at once, but at a pace that feels in sync with your own movements. You walk past the same houses, past the same fences, the same gardens that have grown just a little taller, just a little fuller since the last time you passed through. Each detail, though familiar, feels like a small discovery. A subtle shift in the landscape, in the people, in the moments you share with the world as you move through it. The early morning light is soft, still gentle, as it creeps through the trees and touches the street. It's the kind of light that makes everything feel new, even though you know it's all the same. The morning dew still clings to the grass in a fine mist, sparkling just a little when the sunlight hits it right. The air has a cool crispness to it, with just the faintest smell of wet earth, as though the world is cleaning itself off after the night. It's these little things that make each day feel different, even though they might seem almost identical to the one before. You walk slowly, letting the peaceful morning wrap itself around you, letting the sounds of the world fade into the background. The sound of the birds is louder now, they're chirping a melodic soundtrack to your walk. The occasional car passes by, but there's no urgency in their movements, just a few early risers much like you starting their day in the same way with the same quiet moments. You wave at a neighbor who's just stepped outside to retrieve the morning paper. She waves back, a quiet recognition, nothing more, and yet, somehow, it means something. It's these small interactions, these moments of quiet connection, that tie you to the world around you, even when you're alone in your thoughts. Historians still argue whether the value of routine is found in the predictability or in the comfort it brings. Some believe that it's the structure of the same actions repeated over time that offers a sense of security, a predictable comfort in a world that's often unpredictable. Others say that the value lies in the freedom that routine offers, that it frees your mind from the need to constantly make decisions, allowing you to focus on the things that truly matter. As you walk, you feel both. There's comfort in knowing what's coming next, but also a subtle freedom in not having to think about it, in knowing that you can walk the same route without the pressure of decision-making. There's a strange kind of peace in it, a rhythm that feels like it's carved into your life. You reach the park, and it's still early enough that it's mostly empty, save for a couple of joggers and the occasional dog walker. The The swings are quiet, the slides still. It's another one of those places that's become part of your routine, part of the path you walk every day. You pause for a moment at the park's entrance, just standing there taking it all in. The coolness of the air, the stillness of the early morning, the way the trees stand tall and proud, their branches still heavy with leaves, the soft rustling of those leaves in the gentle breeze. You could stand here all day, lost in the simplicity of it. But you know better. You know that the path ahead calls to you, that there's work to be done, that the day is waiting for you to continue on, to keep moving forward. So, you take another step, continuing down the path, your thoughts wandering with you. It's a familiar journey, but every step feels as though it's leading you to somewhere new, even if that somewhere is just another part of the same old route. Historians still argue whether the daily walk holds a deeper meaning, or if it's just another task in the endless cycle of life. Some say that walking is a metaphor for life itself, moving forward step by step with no real destination, just the act of living. Others say that walking is the simplest form of meditation, the rhythm of the steps clearing the mind and opening up space for reflection. Whatever the answer is, you've come to find your own meaning in it. Your walk is both a journey and a destination, a place to think and a place to let go. In each step you find a little more peace. By now, the world around you is coming to life. The shops are opening, the streets are filling with people starting their own routines. You continue on, taking each step with the same steady rhythm you've carried for so many years. The people you pass, the little moments of recognition, the small waves and smiles, all of it feels like a part of the routine, a part of the daily walk that has become your life. There's nothing extraordinary about it, and yet, in its own way, it's everything. The simplicity of it, the quiet comfort of routine, is what makes it worth doing. Every day it's the same, and every day it's different all at once. As you round the corner to your final destination, you feel that familiar sense of satisfaction. The day's first deliveries are complete, the walk is over. It's time to turn around, to walk back to the depot and prepare for tomorrow's journey. You could think about the day ahead, the tasks waiting for you, the people you'll see. But right now there's no need. You know the rhythm of it, the quiet comfort of it, and you let it carry you through. Historians still argue whether routine, in the end, makes life more meaningful or simply numbs us to the passage of time. Some say that in the repetition we find comfort and stability. Others argue that in the monotony we lose ourselves, slipping through the days without truly living. But for you at this moment it doesn't matter. The routine is life. The routine is enough. It always has been. And with that thought, you take your first step toward the next day, ready to do it all over again. Ready to walk the same route, with the same steps, through the same world. But somehow it's never quite the same. Every day it's a new journey. Every day it's a little bit different. Now, as the sky brightens above, you let out a contented sigh, knowing that whatever happens next, the walk will be waiting for you. And with that, your day has begun.